There are 40,000 acres of seemingly untouched prairie land in Osage County. Innocent wildflowers moving with the hot summer breeze, along with hundreds of different plants and tall grasses that make up what is the largest prairie preserve left in North America. It's also home to one of the largest conservation-focused bison herds in the world.
They are the charismatic megafauna is what we call them, so the big woolly beasties. It's kind of a living time machine, if you want to think of it that way. You're looking back at what this landscape used to look like several hundred years ago before we domesticated it.
Since 1989, the preserve has been owned and managed by the Nature Conservancy, an international nonprofit conservation group whose measure of success is biological diversity. Bob Hamilton is the park's director and works to maintain the native plants and animals here. The goal, he says, is to have a dynamic, functioning ecosystem.
And of course, if you're trying to put the pieces back together and recreate the original ecosystem, bison are a major player. You know, they were kind of the large, historic, dominant grazing machine out here. And so if you're trying to put the machine back together, you put as many original parts in there as possible. So that's why we reintroduced bison to this landscape.
There are about 2,500 bison out here roaming the Prairie Reserve, and out here they have the run of the land without any natural predators.
We are the predator now. The historic predators are gone, which would have been primarily the wolf, and so we as land managers need to decide what the proper sex and age ratio is and the stocking rate. Within a few years we could easily have 10,000 bison, but the prairie would not look like a prairie anymore.
Out here on the prairie, you'll find creatures from the very large to the very small. One of the largest populations of American burying beetles thrives on the prairie, and that kind of diversity brings researchers and scientists from around the world to study this preserved land.
If you're an ecologist, if you're interested in studying insects or large mammals, if you're interested in studying the plant community, and your interest is how native landscapes work, how native ecosystems work, this is the largest protected tallgrass prairie. This is the most aggressive attempt anywhere in the world to restore and recreate a functioning tallgrass prairie ecosystem. So this is as good as it gets. So yeah, if you're in the research business, this is a great playground.
Hamilton says they get a lot of use out of their research facility. Every inch of the prairie is studied by scientists and everything is documented.
So every plant that's been discovered out here has a voucher specimen to properly catalog and document its existence. And this has been primarily developed by Oklahoma State University, primarily Mike Palmer in the botany department. So we're right about 760 species now, maybe a little over that. And so you can see the way these cabinets are organized. They're airtight. You keep a little bit of bug juice in there so the weevils and the mites don't destroy your specimens.
The prairie attracts more than researchers. Visitors come from all over to see the unique stretch of land and all of its wildlife. Pam Roberts lives in Georgia and came with her mother and daughter for a visit.
We've known about the prairie since it began and wanted to see some buffalo.
And you did get to?
Yes, close up and personal. They were right on the road and we saw the calves and it was really neat.
When I was a young girl, I had an uncle by marriage who had a large ranch not too far from here. And this ranch was a working ranch in those days.
And that's another reason why people come here to visit, to see the historic headquarters of the Chapman-Barnard Ranch. The old ranch house is restored to look the way it did back in the 1920s. At its peak, 40 to 50 cowboys lived in this bunkhouse. Ben Johnson Jr. worked as a cowboy here and ended up moving to Hollywood and acting in old Western John Wayne movies.
Chapman-Barnard Ranch is one of the storied ranches for Oklahoma and kind of this whole part of the country. And very productive landscape. I mean, there's a lot bigger ranches you get in the western United States, but in terms of productivity, you can't beat this tallgrass prairie country because of just how much forage it produces. So, 100,000 acres of Chapman-Barnard, was probably the equivalent of easily 1 million acres, in the western part of the country.
And today, it remains a valuable piece of land, but instead of a working ranch,
what we have here is a nice big chunk of healthy tallgrass prairie that's providing basically a living ark for all the plants and animals out here. And so again, if you feel like part of our responsibility as being good stewards of the earth is protecting and maintaining what the good Lord put here, then this is it. Give me 1 second.
From its groundbreaking in 2008, Tulsa's new One Oak Field has taken shape quickly to become what it is today. The season opener is just minutes away, and workers spent the day making sure everything is ready for the sold-out crowd. From the mic checks,
test, good,
to mowing the grass just hours before the first pitch, everything needs to be just right.
This is the culmination of several years worth of research and construction, and it couldn't be any better. This is the highlight of my professional baseball career, and certainly probably the biggest moment in professional baseball history for the city of Tulsa.
Concession stands are getting ready too. They're bringing in the kegs of beer. There's fresh popcorn and peanuts. The funnel cakes are poured into the fryer, and the Hornsby ice cream parlor is ready to serve.
I have souvenir sundaes that come in a helmet. I have the waffle cone. You can get vanilla chocolate twist. I also have dairy-free for you that's allergic to dairy.
But what is probably the most time-consuming is keeping up with a picture-perfect green grass.
We've edged in the last week. That's one of the last things we do to really set it off. We'll edge the warning track and edge the infield. I did put some fertilizer down about a week ago so we could get a little pop, a little color on opening day, which we've gotten a good result out of that. And we've just done some leveling on the dirt, and we've conditioned the dirt a little bit with a product that helps us get a smooth layer on top.
The fans who have been watching the ballpark's progress are ready to enjoy the new stadium.
Absolutely beautiful. I don't think they could have done any better than this. The good part about it, as opposed to the old stadium, is the grass outside or outfield seating is perfect. So, and then the kids' zone's definitely very user-friendly.
Drillers general manager Mike Malega has waited a long time for this night, and he's hoping the wind doesn't pick up too much before tonight's game.
This is my 17th season with the Drillers, and this is the first night I can tell you that we don't have a single ticket available for sale at the game, which is an extremely exciting and rewarding feeling. So it should be a great night. Our typical capacity for a Drillers game is going to be 78-33. Tonight we should have over 8,500 in the house, and it'll be a celebration of downtown Tulsa and a celebration of baseball.
Game time is set for 7:05 tonight when country music star Tim McGraw, in town for a concert, will throw out the ceremonial first pitch. For the Oklahoma News Report, I'm AngelaMRosecrans. Much of the state's music history is displayed in the old Frisco Freight Depot in Muskogee. It's in here that you'll find exhibits ranging from the pop music of Color Me Bad to opera singer Leona Mitchell, to our state's Native American roots. When it comes to musical talent, Oklahoma has certainly left its mark.
It's the thing that connects us. It connects the past, the present, and the future.
And the future is what the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame and Museum is looking forward to moving into by setting the stage for a major renovation and building project.
What we're doing is we are going to expand on our rich music history that is Oklahoma.
The first stage of the renovations will start right here within the facility. Starting this summer, they'll spend about $700,000 finishing this area and making room for more exhibits. Then in about 5 or 6 years, they plan on building an entirely new facility to complement this one.
This is a display of some of the renderings from our architect who has been working with us over the years as we begin to move the facility to the next level.
The next level includes a 3-story, 35,000 square foot project that will be a state-of-the-art musical attraction.
We have everything from an outdoor performance stage to an entryway that's actually a musical note, which the kids will get a big kick out of. This is what we envision in terms of honoring one of our inductees, Carrie Underwood. We'll have musical instruments everywhere. We'll have places where kids can come in and actually play instruments and experience that. We'll have meeting rooms and conference rooms where we'll have forums and educational sessions. So we're going to be all about every kind of experience possible.
An experience that is hoped to bring tourists from around the world, which is good for the state's economy, especially for Muskogee.
What it means for Muskogee is our tourism dollars. You know, for people to come and visit. You know, not only will they be visiting the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame, but they're actually going to be visiting other wonderful spots in Muskogee. So it's a wonderful thing for the city of Muskogee to have it. But I want people to understand we are the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame.
There is growing talk, however, of moving the museum to either Oklahoma City or Tulsa, where a new pop museum is planned. But folks here say the Hall of Fame and museum is not going anywhere.
Our brand is widely recognized, it's solid, it is something that anybody would certainly like to have in their hometown. But for us and for now, we are here in Muskogee and we're here to stay.
Although it is a state agency, they will not be depending on state funds to pay for the massive project. Instead, they're depending on private donations. In Muskogee, I'm Angela Rosecrans, the Oklahoma News Report.